Hey, I'm Wanza Leftwich, and welcome to today's lesson, how to track your ovulation cycle. I am Wanza Leftwich, and I am a mom after infertility, and it is my just joy to share with you guys. It is my joy to share with you guys my story and how I got pregnant after being diagnosed with infertility. I do apologize for the slight delay, some technical difficulties and things like that, but we are here. Let me just make sure that my sound and everything is okay, and we are going to get started. And so I have a special, I'm looking at my computer, so I'm not ignoring you guys. Hey, welcome everyone. I have a special love for women and families who are going through their infertility journey. Honestly, it is not easy, but it is doable. And I don't want to say it's not easy, because we have what we say. You can do it. You can live through it. You can survive through it. You can thrive through your infertility journey if you choose to believe. And I promised myself that I would be more vocal with helping women and families, husbands and wives to conceive, because a lot of times we get surrounded by all the negativity and all this pain that comes with infertility. But there is some joy that comes with infertility as well. And you just have to choose. You have to choose which one you're going to do. So guys, if you can hear me, let me know. Okay, great. All right, great. I can see it. All right. So how to track your ovulation cycle, excuse me. So let me give you a little bit about me. So we were married. I've been married 16 years now, but at the beginning of our marriage, we were clear that we wanted children right away. My husband, he was about, I think he was like 36 when we got married. He was 36, I was 29. So according to my family, not according to my family as far as them saying that, but like all of my other siblings got married at 23, had houses, cars, got pregnant right away. That didn't happen for me. So by the time I turned 29, I was like, am I late in the game? Am I okay in the game? And so we got married. Fast forward a year later or so, the doctors says that we can't have kids. So fine, we can't have kids. And it was stressful. I'll be honest. It was stressful. It was emotional. I was torn apart, because ever since I was younger, that's what I wanted. A husband, 2 kids, and a dog, that type of thing. White picket fence, the great American dream. And so when the doctor tells you that you can't have children, or it's going to be difficult, it's a blow. It's a blow to your self-esteem. It's a blow to your emotions. It's a blow to who you are as a woman. And so we took the diagnosis, but I clearly remember sitting in the doctor's office, and I remember a sermon that my bishop had preached like the Sunday before, and he was saying how when Jesus was on the boat, and they were saying, the disciples were like, Jesus, there's a storm, don't you care if we die? The winds are bolstering, and Jesus just got up, peace be still, that type of thing, and calmed the storm. But he said something interesting. He said that Jesus wasn't worried about dying in a storm, because he already knew his destiny. He knew he was supposed to die on the cross. And so what that meant to me, that sermon came back to me, and I knew what God had already said, that I would have children, and that I would have children. And even if you've never heard God say that audibly, he's made us promises in his word. And so that promise is for you as well. Genesis 1:28 says, be fruitful. He blessed them. God blessed them, and he told them to be fruitful and to multiply. And so that promise is to every believer. I am doing well, Dominique. Thank you so much. And so I say all that to say that gave me hope on the inside. That gave me hope on the inside to believe. Now, did I have my struggles? Yes, I did. Did I cry at night? Yes, I did. Did I become frustrated? Did I have those days where I don't want to show up for Mother's Day? I don't want to go to a birthday party. I did all of that until one day God stopped me in my tracks and said, how can you not celebrate something that you want? How could you not celebrate? How can you be against something that you want so badly? And so God gave me a new perspective, a new perception of infertility and his promises. And so I'm here. That's my backstory. And so I'm here to help women. And yes, I have 2 children. I have been pregnant 3 times. I had 1 miscarriage in between. But I'm here to say that God is faithful. And I was diagnosed with 2 blocked tubes. Absolutely no way to get pregnant without medical intervention but God. When I got pregnant, the doctor couldn't even believe it herself. She wasn't even in that day. And it's so funny because I went to a friend's clinic where she worked. They did a test. And then because I had to wait like 6 days to get an appointment at my doctor. And so then when I went to my doctor, they did the test, but she wasn't there. And she wasn't there. I'm live. My husband just walked in. So she wasn't, my infertility specialist wasn't there. And so, but they gave her the results and she called me at home and said, I need you to come back tomorrow and retake this test because, of course, she couldn't believe it. So I happily went back the next day and took the test, and she confirmed that I was 6 weeks pregnant. So God is good. And so I want to help you. I want to help you break down some of these areas, demystify some of this stuff. And let me just put a disclaimer. I am not a medical professional. But I am a believer, and I believe in the power of faith. I believe in God's word, and I believe if he said it, we will have it. And so with that being said, of course, I urge you to see your medical professionals. But what I teach is how we use faith to conceive. And so today I'm going to do a practical lesson. And it takes faith to even do this, how to track your ovulation period. So I'm going to be looking over here at my notes. So if you see me looking back and forth, that's what I'm doing. So ovulation, what exactly is that? The ovulation is the releasing of the egg, of the egg. You know, when the sperm and the egg get together, it fertilizes and you're pregnant. So every month we ovulate. And for those who may not, I'm live. I'm teaching a class. I'm sorry, y'all. I won't be that long. This is live. I can't take it back, right? And so, I can't see all of your questions, Dominique. And so for those of you who are watching this live, watching the replay, or watching it on YouTube, this was originally taped live. So I will be answering some questions, and you can put your comments below and I'll answer those as well. And so ovulation is the releasing of the egg, and that usually happens 14 days after your last period. So basically you're going to need a calendar. It's a simple tracking system to track it. And with ovulation, what people really don't realize is that you really only have, the experts are kind of divided on it, but you literally only have 4 to 6 days a month to get pregnant. It's your fertility window. There's a certain fertility window, and a lot of women don't realize it. And so I'm here to break it down to you. So it's 14 days after your first period. So the day of your period, it's a very slim window. So you count from the first day of your period. So if your period began today on the 20th, you count 14 days. And on that 14th day, you will be ovulating, right? But here's the catcher. This is the catcher. Your egg will be released 14 days after the first day of your last period, right? But you can get pregnant anywhere between like that 12th day, 13th day, 14th day. Y'all following me? Because, and this is because, and I'm going to use some terms, hopefully I don't make anybody feel uncomfortable. We all grown here, right? We all grown. Sperm can live up to 48 to 72 hours in your body. So it's not just the day that you ovulate. It's 2 or 3 days before the actual day that you ovulate, you can become pregnant. Because if you have sexual intercourse with your mate, if you have sexual intercourse with your mate, his sperm can live in your body 48 to 72 hours. And so those are the optimum days, right? So it's 14 days after the first day of your last period. But the 12th, 13th, and 14th day are the optimal days. However, you can still get pregnant a day or two before it and a day or two after it, depending on the life of the sperm that's in you. And so, yes, we're going to talk about that too, with no periods. And so, got it. And so that is basically how you track your ovulation. But I want to give you some more tips. That's the basis of it. But this is what I want you guys to know. For those of you who do not, let me get to counting. For those of you who do not have your menstrual cycle regularly, there are other ways to tell when you are ovulating. Your cervical mucus, it changes. Sometimes, your mucus that comes out of your vagina, it changes. It's a little bit more slippery. It has, it's a little bit more clear, almost like it's gross, but almost like snot. You ever had a real big, and sometimes it looks like that, almost like you have a cold down there. And so if you start to see that one day, you're most likely ovulating. The egg is being released. Also, your body temperature changes. You are at your lowest body temperature when you are ovulating. And I have tracked this a lot. And sometimes my husband tells me, he's like, oh, you feel so hot. You feel so warm. And it's true. But what happens is, and this is what I want to break down to those who believe as well. Ovulation symptoms, yes, like clear jelly. Thank you. Those symptoms sometimes reflect PMS. It feels like PMS. So during the month, you have almost a few days or a week of PMS, and then you actually have your cycle. And then there's a week, that week in between where you're fertile, that can feel like PMS. Some women have pain. Some women have a little pinching in their abdomen. And so it makes us cranky. It makes us moody. It makes us like, I don't want to be bothered, right? But you got to be careful because and you get tired. But you have to be careful because that is your fertility window. And so I promised that I would talk about creating an atmosphere around this fertility window. When you begin to start tracking it, you'll realize, oh, I felt kind of cranky. Oh, I didn't want to be bothered. Even, I speak for myself. Like sometimes my husband rubbed my arm, I'm like, oh. And then I realized like, oh, let me check the calendar. Because my cycle is going, but am I ovulating? Because I'm a little cranky. The touch feels a little harder. It's like, a little irritated. But when you are fighting an enemy that is unseen, a spiritual enemy, the devil, that wants to keep your womb closed, you have to bring in faith into your reality. You have to make faith your reality, and you have to kick the flesh out. So you may not want to be bothered with him. You may not want to have sex that night. But if you know this is your fertility window, you have to make a plan in your mind. And I'm not saying the day of, oh, I'm ovulating. Come on, come over here. Let's do it. Nah, but it happens like that. But what I'm saying is, if you know you're going to be ovulating next week, plan that week out and be conscious of what you're doing. Because faith without works is dead. You would be surprised how many women are diagnosed with infertility but do not have sex with their husband. That's not going to work. That's not going to work. That is not going to work. You cannot be diagnosed with infertility and have a stressful relationship with your mate. And it is stressful because, oh, I got my period again. You sad, you sorrowful, you're down, but you're not making this situation any better. Remember, I said at the top of this video, you have the ability to choose. At the top of this lesson, you have the ability to choose whether you're going to be joyful in this thing or whether you're just going to be outright sorrowful. It's time. If you really want to get pregnant, and I'm not trying to be funny, and this is why, because sometimes people say, well, people don't say that, but I feel like I go hard, but I have to go hard because you have to totally change your perception from the world's view. Because if you look in the Bible, there are at least 7 to 8 women who were infertile. They called them barren in those days. And they conceived because they had a promise from God. When you are a believer, if you're not a believer, then But if you are a believer in Jesus Christ and he is Lord over your life, you can put a demand on the promises of God and with no fear, with no shame, and with no sorrow. You can be confident in the faith. You can be confident that what God said he will do. And that is my with infertility. So I don't have, that's why I call our support group Infertility Defeated. That's why everything that I label is Infertility Defeated. That was my hashtag that I started on the internet, Infertility Defeated, because I'm not going to do infertility support. You got to watch what you say and watch what you do. Infertility is defeated in my life. And so when I'm trying to really get over to you, so we're tracking the ovulation, right? We got our days straight. Exactly, Dominique. You got to fight for this thing. It's you got to fight. You got to do what you need to do. So we have the natural information, right? We have the natural information, and then we're going to combat it. We're going to combine it rather with our spiritual information, with our faith. So I'm going to track this thing naturally, because the truth is God can do anything, right? We have a fertility window, but God can do anything. You can get pregnant any time in the month. You could be like, oh, well, once I got pregnant, it wasn't even my I got you, because God can do anything. So I believe that too. I also believe that God made our bodies a certain way, to function in a certain way. And when we command our bodies to function and line up with the will of the Lord, how he commanded it to reproduce and to produce, then we should follow those natural things that God put in place. Science didn't do that. Science just discovered how God had us to work, right? So the fertility window, you need to work that fertility window. That needs to be date night in that fertility window. You understand what I'm saying? That needs to be the night, the week that you send text messages to your husband all day long. You get him warmed up. You get him aroused. Yes, this is plain truth, right? You build a relationship, and not just a I want to get pregnant moment, let's have sex. You build a relationship of intimacy. You build an atmosphere where your spouse wants to be with you, where your spouse wants to feel welcome, and he doesn't just feel like you just trying to have me to be a baby making machine. And vice versa. Because there are some men who are on the other side. They just want to get their wife pregnant. Let's get pregnant. And you wore out by that. It's like, oh my God, I'm wore out. I don't feel like doing this no more. I don't even feel like having sex no more, because it's just all about trying to get pregnant, and it ain't fun no more. So you have to reverse that. You have to reverse it and go back to the fun. You have to reverse it and create that atmosphere that's conducive for fertility. Any questions? And guys, those of you watching the replay, you can post your questions. I will respond here in the group as well as on YouTube. And if you're watching this on YouTube, you're welcome to join us in our Facebook group. You can search Infertility Defeated Support Group and it will come up. Or you can search my name, Wanza Leftwich, and you'll find us. And so let's go back to tracking. Let me give you some more symptoms. So we talked about the cervical mucus that looks like a clear jelly. It's a little bit more slippery. Your body temperature is at its lowest state. You may feel cranky and moody. You may feel just like you're in PMS, but you just had your cycle. You're ovulating, sweetie. And you need to take advantage of that time. Now, for those of you who say, I don't ovulate, I have irregular periods, you need to go, you need to begin studying your body, how your body works. If you get your period every other month, if you haven't seen a period at all, then you need to pray and you need to command your body to function the way God made it to. And I'm serious. I'm serious, because that's what I did. And that's what my husband did. And you need to see your medical professional and make them check you out. Make them check you out. I went to the doctor almost every month for 6 months because I had excessive bleeding, excruciating pain, and they could not find anything wrong with it. So one day, my regular doctor, again, and I loved her, you know, my regular doctor, she wasn't there, but I had an African American, what do they call them? Physician's assistant who saw me in her place. And she said, you know what? I'm going to schedule you for a laparoscopic exploratory surgery to see if you have endometriosis, because endometriosis, it grows like on the outside of your ovaries and your fallopian tubes, and it causes pain. So she thought maybe that's what was going on. And so we scheduled, hey Shanna, so we scheduled the appointment, right? And so my husband's like, I don't want you to have surgery, but I'm talking about excruciating pain. I'm talking about when I had my cycle, I could not walk, and I was teaching at that time. And I remember I had to have one of the staff members, because I couldn't make it down to the staff bathroom. I had to have her posted outside the children's bathroom so I could use it, because I could not make it to the other end of the hallway. And I barely could walk. Like, I was dragging my leg every month. And so we went. My fertility specialist, doctor, she did the surgery. She was like, oh, okay, we'll do it. We'll do the surgery. And I gave them, and when you do surgeries like this, make sure you have some guidelines. Don't take nothing out. You have guidelines, because sometimes they'll go in and find stuff and they'll give you a hysterectomy. Hysterectomies are on the rise, and they don't have to be. I really believe that's a ploy and a spirit that has been released into the earth to keep the wombs closed. Not only are they closed, but now they're trying to take them out. And I'm talking about from older women. I'm talking about they're recommending hysterectomies for young women who have never had kids, who are not married. 10 years ago, that was never the case. They wouldn't even tie your tubes, you know, unless you had a certain amount of kids and been married and all that type of stuff. Ethically, don't do it. Don't do it, because it's money for them. Figure out another way. Go to God in prayer. Command your body to be healed. And so I gave her specific instructions. I don't care what it looks like, what's in there. Do not take out my ovaries. Do not take out my uterus. No hysterectomy, no partial hysterectomy, none of that. Anything else, you know, you see a growth, you see a tumor, fine. You could remove that. So she did just that. She found 2 polyps in my uterus that was sitting in my uterus. And you know what she told me? And, you know, I'm grateful for her. But she told me, we took out 2 polyps from your uterus, and they were kind of big. And I saw the pictures and things like that. And I said, okay. She said, but polyps don't do anything. Polyps don't cause pain. And so I said, well, okay. But she removed them anyway, just so they wouldn't grow. They weren't cancerous, so they wouldn't turn into anything else. Fine, I'm grateful. Do you know the next month I had one little smidgen of pain, and I have not had any pain after that? Do your own research. If you are in pain, and if your body is telling you something that the doctors are not, press your doctor to investigate. And if they don't want to do it, you get a new doctor. It's your insurance, it's your money, it's your body. You fight for you. And so all of that, tracking your ovulation cycle, is really getting to know who you are. There is another way that you can test as well. I don't know if any of you do body checks, but you can do a body check. You can place 2 fingers inside your vagina as if you were putting in a tampon. And when you are ovulating, your cervix is usually very soft, like your lips here. And then if you are not ovulating, it's usually harder, like your nose. Like it feels very, very firm. And so those are ways that you can track your ovulation. Don't get misguided by your fertility window. The fertility window is real. The fertility window is very real. And so use it to your advantage. Use your natural ability, your natural knowledge with your spiritual knowledge, and speak over your body. And y'all get out of these groups where they sprinkling fairy dust and all that stuff. And I'm talking to believers, because if you're on YouTube and I offended you, please, I'm sorry. But I'm talking to believers. Get out of the groups where all they doing is cussing and fussing and sorrow. And even if you're not a believer, if you believe that you want to have a child, you cannot be around death and people declaring death and sorrow and sadness when you want life. That's what God told me. And that was the biggest perception changer that I'm giving to you. It's like a person who, like, if you want to get out of debt, you're not going to get advice from a person who is in debt more than you. That doesn't happen. You have to be around people who have what you want. It may not make sense, but I promise you it works. It works. It works. It works. And I want you to be encouraged. And so I am seriously considering opening up an Infertility Defeated faith circle, where it will be a paid community, not something exorbitant, but just the people who want to really dig into their faith and really have that close connection with myself and a few other women, and say, we are going to get what God promised. And so there will be an investment, $27 a month. If you are interested, shoot me a message or comment below, and I will give you the details later on in this week or over this weekend. But I've been really thinking about that, and I've held myself back only because, honestly, criticism, all this or that, but I know it works. I know it works because, I mean, this is my book right here. It's an old cover, but these are my girls. They're much bigger now, but I know it worked, and I know women in this group, you can testify as well. It works. Faith works. Put your natural knowledge with your faith. Bring it together. It absolutely works. So let's recap 1 second. Y'all are making a lot of noise. That's my family, y'all. It's live. What we gonna do? But I'm gonna recap, and we're gonna get off. We're gonna get off here. Let's recap. 14 days after the first day of your last period. So if your period started on the 8th, count 14 days. After that, that is your ovulation date. You can get pregnant the day 12, day 13, day 14 after your period, because your sperm lives 48 to 72 hours within the body. So that's what I was saying, like, create that date week, that atmosphere, that thing where y'all just having fun all that week, and it's just amazing. And I mean, it's easy to do, because if you've had your cycle for 7 to 10 days, sometimes I have mine for 10, which is ridiculous, but your husband is probably going to want you after not having you for 7 to 10 days. So it's easy. So make it easy. So don't give yourself any excuses. He got on my nerves. I had a fight at work. I'm tired. You got to remember the enemy of our soul, the devil, will use all of those things to deter us, to keep our wombs closed, because we won't submit to the knowledge and to the faith that we know. A lot of times we're stuck in just even different areas of our lives because we won't submit to what we already know. All right? And so if you have any questions, please put them down below. Put them down below. If you have any questions, please put them down below. If this is on YouTube, you can comment as well. Always shoot me a message. I am Wanza Lethwich on all of my social media channels, and I'm here to help you. The infertility group is open. The Infertility Defeated Faith Circle will open if you're interested. Well, I might open it anyway, because people will come. When God gives you an idea, you just have to move forward in it, and it's worth it. I remember I was going to shut down this group because I only had like 2 or 3 people in it, and only one person would respond to me, and her name is Emilsa. And I know she doesn't mind me shouting her out. And I said, you know what, God? She responds to everything that I put in this group. So I'm going to leave it open just for her. And Milsa's son, Isaac, is now 5. And so I'm grateful. And so one family at a time, one pregnant woman at a time, Infertility Defeated. We just going to do this one at a time, y'all. And we just going to have baby showers all over, right? Make sure you invite me. But I love you guys. Wanza Leftwich, Infertility Defeated support group on Facebook. You guys who are live here and watching the replay, you guys know I love you. And y'all be blessed. I'm going to answer the questions afterwards because the family is up and moving about and they're making a lot of noise. I love you guys. Talk to you soon.